All right, so now we can do the first time me and Carrie Boundaries and Brotherhood for worthiest Miss Carrie Pullaro. I've been missing her for the last 2 weeks. She's been busy.
I
Come and introduce
know.
yourself.
Oh my God. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, man, Tuesdays have been quite quiet. Yes, I'm Carrie Pullaro. I'm a relationship coach and I work with independent women just so that they recognize that they're the prize and they learn to just effortlessly attract a man that leads and loves their drive at the same time. Like they're not sacrificing anything from themselves.
So let me ask you this. Today's topic is going to be real deep with her because the topic of today is, are you ready for the dream relationships or the dream relationship?
Are you ready to become the version of you that calls it in and receives it? Because we can say all day long that I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. But the reality is the reason that I don't have it is because who I'm being in this moment is not who would attract the relationship of my dreams or whatever it might be for you. You know what I mean?
It's so cool because you guys don't understand. Me and Miss Plural have been on this journey. And for some reason, it always comes back where we get to compare notes. We're going to compare relationships from both sides of the spectrum, from a woman's side, from a male side, that's done the work, that's done the deep dive into a lot of different things. And to see Miss Plural have a thriving relationship, not a perfect one, because no relationship is perfect,
That's for
right?
sure.
What do you How is it now with Abel, if I don't mind, that you was ready for this because all the stars aligned? And what could you tell other women, other men?
Well, what really just popped in my head as you were saying that was I remember being in a class and I had a huge revelation. I was taking a relationship class actually,
Hmm.
and they were talking about what is your idea of this perfect partner? And I wrote down, like, I have this list, right, of what I want. And then, the facilitator said, but you also, we got to remember that, yes, you might have somebody that can be like this list, but they're going to come with some flaws. And so what are you willing to tolerate to deal with? And really today I like to say it as, what are you willing to accept? I don't like to look at it as tolerating. It really is like accepting someone fully with all the amazing parts and all of their flaws that come along with that, because I think that's what we as humans really desire, somebody to just accept us, you know.
Right. That's always on point because what are you like what I tell people, what are you willing to let go?
Yeah.
Because you're going to start nitpicking a lot of different things, whether she might be doing this, I might not take accountability for this, I haven't done the research on myself, I haven't even changed myself, I haven't taken into accountability a lot of the different things. As a woman with a certain ego, a certain pride, right? And then you have your partner Abel, who's strong minded, he's got boundaries. How does that work for you, being both strong minded?
Ooh, I get to check in with myself regularly and just remember that it's not about, and we talked about this the other week about being right. It's not about being right today. The other day we had a conversation. It was our anniversary and
Mm,
he totally forgot, right?
of course, he's a guy.
And yeah, and it was so funny. But the best part of it was I got a reminder. I would have forgot too, but I got a reminder in my calendar
Okay.
because he put it in there and they sent me a reminder, right? But he totally forgot about it. And I'm like, how do I get a reminder and he forgets? This is crazy. But I got a little upset about it. And then I think that what I got upset about was it wasn't that we didn't do anything to celebrate, but I was like, oh my God, I didn't even get a text message. So I started to allow these little things to bother me. And so I said to him, like 3 days later, it took like a hot minute for me to be like, how am I going to communicate this? I'm like, I want you to understand that I'm not mad at you. I was disappointed because I really just at least wanted a text message or something, acknowledging me in
Okay.
some way. And he was like, okay. And he goes, well, Carrie, let me ask you a question. Did you plan anything for me? And I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't like from responsibility, I didn't set us up both to win. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get to talk about it. If I really wanted to do something, why didn't I just say that? And so it's so funny because I'm like, when he said that, I'm like, thank you for saying that. Yes, I did not plan anything. You are correct. And he goes, you didn't plan anything. You didn't bring it up. And I really thought that it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal to you because we were traveling. And I was like, Okay, fair enough. But there's no reason to be upset about it. Do you know what I mean? It was just like,
How would the old you have handled that?
oh my God, it would have been like a big fight. How dare you forget? My God, do I have to write it in your calendar and
Oh
set
my
up all these
God.
reminders? And so it's like it's very different today. And it's kind of like pick and choose your battles. Is it really a big deal? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I mean, the reality is we travel all the time. For Valentine's Day, we went to Cabo. Like we did all of these
Nice.
things. And so it's just kind of like, am I going to nitpick? But I used to be that person that would totally
That's
nitpick.
what I mean. What would you tell women? What would you tell other women or other guys? What would you see? The beauty of this, guys, right? The beauty of this, I can ask Carrie straight up what's you gonna, and she's gonna tell me what's on her mind. But the beauty of it is, she used to be this different person, and women might be in that stage of life right now, in this phase with trying to attract the right guy. But are you ready for that relationship? You mean a lot of those things. That's why, guys, I ask her these questions because some of the stuff I want to know.
I remember there was a time that I would not have said anything about it, and I
Mm,
would have expected him to remember. And if he didn't, I would have made a big deal. I mean, and this is like pre him. This was in past relationships. I would have made
okay.
a big deal and a big stink out of it. But as he and I communicate, it's about, hey, if you really want something, then you get to communicate that. Like, set us both up to win. You can't rely on my memory. You know what I mean? Especially with our work. People are busy, right? People have things going on all the time. It's easy to forget things. I live and
Absolutely.
die by my calendar. If it's
Right.
not in there, I'm not remembering.
Oh, wow.
It really is just having grace for people and understanding that I get to ask for what I want today. If I want to do something, I get to ask for it. I get to remind my partner. I get to set him up to win. And I think that's one of the biggest
That's
lessons I've
key.
learned in relationship is today I get to set my partner up to win. There were so many times in the past that I used to set my partner up to lose because all I wanted to
Let's
do
talk
was
about
prove
that.
myself right that men were pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was. That's where I was back then.
She was. She was angry. She was mad at
I
the world. Yeah,
was so angry.
in fact, that feminist part of her with the feminine drive and everything, she was that person at one time. And she's
Yeah.
and it, I see all this. I see how men in the dating game are doing it now, how women treat men. Like I just had a thing with Doc because I don't understand it. I come from a different time, probably Abel coming from a different time. You're from a different time, but you got attracted to that part. Talk to me about having that grace for you and your partner and yourself. This is we have the best
I
topics.
really just, well, remembering that I'm not perfect. And there's so many ways that I show up in relationship that because I'm like a very big controller personality, and so it's challenging sometimes for me to be like, okay, how can I be in a supportive role, because I want to freaking control everything. And so, and I get to take a back seat and kind of a lot of times and allow him to lead and me be the supporting role in the relationship. And so I know I don't get that perfect, right? And
Right?
if he held me to that all the time, we wouldn't be in a relationship. Because this is
Mm,
really, both of us are learning as we go. You know what I mean?
that's
The beauty of it. So like giving myself the grace of like giving him the grace of, oh, he can forget. It's okay for him to forget. And it's okay for me to show up sometimes and try to control, like try to control the situation because my way is the right way in that moment,
wait.
right?
Wait a minute.
Like,
Good ladies, if you're in a group watching this, right? There's a give and take in relationships, right? There's a give and take. It's up when Carrie says, "Oh, I wanted to be in control." I would think most women want to be in control of the situation, knowing your background, knowing what you've been through, but
yeah.
to be able to give it up,
Whew, it's
like
hard.
you're right, because even like when I talk to Andrews, like for me with my stature, my ego, my pride, my male chauvinism, all that good stuff that comes in, be able to give it up is hard, but I do it for the family. I do it for my kids. I do it for her. I do it for the relationships. Do we argue? We just had a big argument this past weekend because, you know, the roles have changed where she's the breadwinner and my pride gets put on the side. I've changed because I'm always on edge. But at the same time, I got two rambunctious feral boys that need their dad. He loses her mind with the kids, right? She supports me in that sense. But when the roles are flipped, I have to put all of that aside because I'm looking at the bigger picture, right? Because like you said, grace and respect. And I keep telling, I tell my boys, right? Daddy's going back to work.
You
Let's
know, I watch
go.
your videos. I'm like, oh my God, like Gordon's house is fun. If I was a kid, I would be like, I want to
Oh,
go there.
they come to, we have Nerf gun fights. I mean, I have my niece that comes over. She stayed here like 2 days. They don't want to go back home. They get to ride go-karts. I don't care. They bang the wall. At this point, I'm enjoying the stuff I never had with them. I'm
Yeah,
letting them have their childhood. They're comfortable. They get to do what they want because I don't want them to become an adult where everything is no.
yeah,
There's going to be a
so,
time where I can't shield them no more
yeah.
because I'm going to turn them into basically men at one point where they have to go do something. How does it feel to be ready for a dream relationship with all the work you've done in yourself? How did all those tools help you? All the training?
I think the biggest thing that helped me was to be able to take a step back and look at it from an observer role. Like you said, like see the bigger picture, look at it from a 30,000-foot view.
Yeah.
When I was in that particular training and they said to me, yes, you have all of these requests, but what are you willing to accept from this person? And so I started to make a list of certain things that was going to be acceptable, but there were certain things that were really important to me. And so it's just really like getting, I think that allowed me to get clear on what I was looking for in a partner. Like I need somebody that is going to exercise. I'm very clear on that. Maybe in relationship, because of how active I am, if I'm in relationship with someone that does not exercise or
They don't
doesn't
want
eat
women.
really well, and Abel doesn't eat really well, but he doesn't eat like fast food every day. You know, like I couldn't be in a relationship with someone that eats fast food every day.
You in the gym, you take care of your body, you take care of your mind. It lets out some energy for me and Andra. If I'm not, I'm at the gym. I take the kids to the gym now. But then when she got the babies, we got her into that regimen. I paid a personal trainer to train her where she wants this now. So now she's doing it on her own because it's hard for women. You have two babies, you've been this size forever. Now you got this. That's what we paid for. Like everything, even down to the mommy makeover, where everything changed. The confidence did. Everything became what she always wanted to be because I believe she deserved it. I could have been like, oh, no, we don't have the money. Fuck it. Just do the shit. Let's do the stuff, get it done, make you feel good about yourself so you can have the confidence. Because this way she can be the supportive role in my life, in my journey. Because if it's not like happy wife, happy life. If the happy family dynamics, you know what I mean? This where she's doing her thing. Let me ask you this one question, right? How does the respect level move where you have high respects once he sees you, he starts doing the things you like? How does it make you feel?
Oh my God, it's emotional.
Yeah,
Like
it
I'm like,
is.
oh my God.
It's
Yeah, like, oh
it's
my God, I can't
emotional.
believe that.
Very
Yeah, it's
emotional.
very emotional. But I think also too, it really shows me like my perspective has changed. Like in order for me to have anything that I even have in a relationship, it was I had to change my perspective about men, period. Because I had so much anger and frustration,
Resentment.
resentment for all past relationships. And then I felt like I had to show up and do everything. It was like, this is what going into a relationship became the normal of what I looked for because it was the normal that I was accepting.
A real relationship, not just one that's one-sided, not somebody trying to just take something from you or you trying to do vice versa, or it's not transactional. Now it's together.
Yes.
To me, that's a really big difference because now you're building a life together. What would you tell, what do you tell some of your clients?
Whenever there's any kind of conflict or any kind of question, it's what will bring us together for the greater good of the relationship. Like that's always my go-to for any kind of resolution. If
Okay.
anything comes up, I'm like, okay, if I want to have a conversation about something, how am I going to conduct this where it is to the greater good of the relationship? It's not about me, and it's because now I get to take somebody else into consideration as well.
How does it, let me ask you this, right? Because I mean, it's just so good because from being one-sided person, being a selfish person, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that now? Like, how does that foundation feel for you?
It feels like, oh my God, why didn't I do this sooner?
True.
It feels relieving, but the reality is I never felt safe enough to do it. And I want to be clear about
Oh,
this too. Safety is
oh,
not found in the other person. It's
yeah.
I had to establish the safety within myself first before I could go,
That's
okay, I'm safe enough to, allow this
be
man to
vulnerable.
lead me. Yeah, be vulnerable and allow him to lead and take a different role in the relationship than I've ever taken before.
Explain that. That might be something some of your viewers might want to hear. Like, how does the vulnerability of your lack of trust make it better for you in a way? I mean, the vulnerability that you had to give up with Abel. And like I said, I'll never stop congratulating you on that because you deserve that. For what you've been through, what has it done for you? Accepting it all. Oh, give me a
I
story.
feel I feel like I've been able to relax. There's not
Oh,
like
okay.
these expectations. I used to run myself ragged because I have to do it all. Let me prove. It's like
Okay.
when we travel together, let me pack everything, let me get everything organized. I remember when we first started living together and we were traveling a lot, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Like, I know where we're going. I have everything handled. Like, what, like, why are you? And I was like, oh, I'm used to living by myself and doing everything for myself
Ooh.
and allowing someone just to simply plan a trip for me was a big deal. And at the same time, I was like, man, this feels so nice that someone's going to plan a trip for me. Oh my God. And I think my nervous system gets used to it. It's still not completely used to it. Like I tell him all the time, I'm like, my nervous system and I have decided that we're going to relax a little bit more. Because it's true. Like, oh, like at the time, as long as we've been together, we've been together for 3 years, been living together for two. I feel like it's still this constant, my nervous system is still settling in, still.
Oh, it's still jumpy because you've been so used to it through all these years. It's all those baggage that you have to get rid of all of
Yeah.
that because in fact, what's the top 5 things that you are relieved about versus the challenges?
Well, I'm relieved that I have somebody that I can fully trust that I know is going to be honest. I like honesty was a big thing.
Big,
Honesty and transparency.
big, big.
When like that's removed, because honestly, that was one of the things that always kept me triggered was if I did not trust you, like I would always
Oh
attract
yeah, of
men that I
course.
didn't trust. I would always attract men I didn't trust, and then I would be like out of my mind all the time. So honesty was a really big role. And then I think now like allowing him to support me and see that he does lead, he does know what he's doing. Because I remember when I was younger, I used to hear my parents go back and forth about, you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? They would challenge one another. And
It's been in your head all that time.
I'm like, oh my God, he's a competent adult. He's an attorney. He's survived all these years. He's raised a child. He's competent. You know what I mean? And so it's like, wow, what has me go to this extreme of not wanting someone to, to plant, not trusting someone. But it is a fundamental lack of trust everywhere in my life. It's not just, it
I was
wasn't
just about
just
to
with him.
mention. Yeah.
It wasn't just with him. And so it was like the more that I was able to trust the process, and this is still a work in progress for
It
me,
will always be.
trusting the process and just remembering that. And it's not even like I have a mentor that always tells me when I get in these moments of lack of trust, and she's like, you don't have to trust all of these other things, but do you trust God? Like, do you trust God? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, well, then just trust that it's all
That's
going to
it.
work out the way it's supposed to.
That was a topic where I wrote down the vibrational frequencies of trusting a higher power or something. I gotta write that one down.
And that also goes along with your assumptions because it's just like if I'm going to assume that he's incompetent or that then that's all I'm ever going to see because I'm going to create it and then I'm going to look
You're gonna
for it and I'm
create it.
going to nitpick. But now if the law of assumption is true, whatever I assume to be true is
It's
going
gonna
to
happen.
it's going to happen.
You'll
And
find
so,
it.
and so just changing it. And I noticed that changing my assumptions of people, of places, of things, of myself, that really is changing my frequency a lot.
Mm,
But I get to
that
stay
makes
in that.
that makes a whole lot of sense because a lot of the times you don't even understand that part of it, but it still manifests regardless of what happens because
Yeah,
you're so
oh my God,
set
did
on
I
that.
create this? Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I realized that my thoughts are really what's creating my reality, I was like, Oh,
Oh,
I gotta clean that shit up because they're crazy.
what's the, let me ask you this. The, what's the top three tools you use that you tell other clients that this is what I've done? This is the tool I've used in my toolbox to get this result.
To what specific result are you
Like
asking?
say for example, you might be having an issue with say packing for your vacation,
Okay.
right? You have the realization that he's a competent adult. He's been doing this a long, but you've been in control for so long, for so many years with all
Yeah.
these ill thoughts, and you want to be in
hmm
control. What was the tool in some of your past trainings that helped you accept it?
Well, I do a lot of journaling, and I think that it's deeper than that. It's the recognizing that, okay, I'm trying to control him.
Repeat that for the audience. Recognizing that's the
It is recognizing that it's not him. It's not about him packing. I used to make it about that. Like, I need to
of
do it. I'll
course.
do it efficiently, effectively. Like, we'll be able to fit more. And then I started to sit with myself and be like, okay, so what are you really needing in this moment? Because you're trying to control because you feel like you're lacking something or you feel out of control in a particular area of your life. Where is that? And
Mm,
so when I'm ever wanting to control a situation, I'm like, okay, where do I feel lack of control? That's the first go to is I'm fine. I feel lack of control somewhere
how did you learn to catch it?
by blowing up a lot of shit. Oh my God. I think
That
it
is
was,
so funny.
but it's true because what I
Yeah.
realized was every time I would try to control and put my hand in the mix, I would just blow shit up.
Blow
I would
shit
cause
up.
a fight, like so much drama. And then I was like, oh, this doesn't work. After a while, you're like, oh, this doesn't work. It's almost like touching the stove. If you tell a little kid, don't touch the stove, you get burned. I did
Mm,
it enough.
mm.
Finally. Finally.
What do you let me, what would you tell your younger self about this whole situation? Your younger self, like all this wasted, like say, energy,
Yeah,
time.
it is.
Because you see it in women now when you watch the things on YouTube, you watch the skits, you see all the things that's going on in the world with the dating, the women and stuff. What would you tell the younger version of yourself? Because your younger version didn't know about the experience, the wisdom, the tools, didn't even know nothing about it. What would could you give a woman going through this right now?
So I had a very specific tool that I used because what would happen is I would go to work and I would be in this like control state because I had
Got
a
you.
specific role there. And then I would come home and I couldn't like unlock from that. I was still in the
Uh
state. And so what I would do, and this really worked for me, is I would come home and I would create little, and I've done this with lots of different things, but this specific one is a little ceremonial thing of I'd come home, I would change my clothes. It didn't matter what I was wearing, but change my clothes because it was like I was stripping myself from the
the
work
crap.
energy,
Yeah.
and but it got to be intentional. It wasn't just a change your clothes and go about your day. It was kind of like, okay, I'm acknowledging that
Cleansing.
this portion of me is done for today, and now I get to like relax and be in the true authentic Carrie. And I would tell myself too that it's not that serious. Like I would take things so seriously, and I was so rigid and so uptight and so tense.
Well, you were still proving yourself. That's why you kept
Yeah.
trying to prove yourself that this was you when you didn't let the soft side come out because you was always protective of it, basically.
Yeah, I didn't trust her. I didn't trust the
Protective.
soft
Yeah.
side. And I think today I would tell the younger self to trust the soft side because she's a lot stronger than you
Then
think.
she thinks, yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
and it's also a facade. It's easier. That's the easier way to do it. You mean
hmm
even because I was, I mean, even like when Andrew said, oh, there's your other ex. I mean, because I was in the industry, I had the clubs, I had the video, I was in that mix, like how they do with OnlyFans now, basically. I was
hmm
doing that in Hawaii years ago and all this stuff. But the mentality of that person is different now, right? Even with the girls, it's kind of different because I have seen it change. And even with the clubs, the scene, and everything else, it's completely changed. It's not like how it used to be. The younger Carrie used to be that jaded, rigid person because it was only to protect the inner core prove themselves so nobody can even get close,
Mhm.
basically. Now you want to be open to it all because you see the growth of it, of becoming womanhood, basically. You know what I mean? When did that change for you? It doesn't matter in age, that's why. It becomes the mindset and the internal.
Yeah, I think just by doing a lot of this work, it really started to land for me that you've gone through your entire life, are reacting to life, and everything is a problem. You see everything as a problem. Every day I would wake up and be like, I've got to protect myself from the events that are going to happen today. You can't find
You
joy in
can't,
that. There is no
yeah,
way you will find joy there in that place.
yeah.
And so, like, allowing the things to happen and like flow through them, regardless if they're the desired outcome that I want. But now knowing that I have a lot more control over the desired outcome with my assumptions. So
Big,
when all of these things
big.
started to come together, it was like, oh, wow, I really do. Like, people would tell me, you can create whatever you want. Tell me how the fuck to do that. I don't know how to do that. And then as I started
Oh,
really like diving into the work, I was like, oh, I'm creating all day. All of my assumptions, I'm making all that shit true. If I assume that I'm the best fucking relationship coach, I'm going to show up and be the best fucking relationship coach.
absolutely. Yeah.
If I assume that people are doubting me and people don't want to spend money, then people aren't gonna watch my stuff and they're not gonna spend any money. Because I'm gonna start showing up as that
That
version of
way.
me that believes it. So
Correct. Correct.
it really was just like, what do you believe? Do you believe that life is this terrible place you have to protect yourself from? Or do you believe that life is so much full of joy? If you just remain curious, I always tell Abel, because Abel has this like childlike wonder. If I look at the world with childlike wonder, oh my God, the opportunities that
It's open to the
huge,
world. It's because your mind
everything.
is open. It hasn't closed off to, like you said, because you was the reactionary period of everything that you went through. If it's a habit, it keeps going, right? Say it's a habit, whether it's good or bad, a consequence, whatever it is. The habit, if you change because your mindset and became a habit, like say going on, waking up to your phone and jumping on it, that's a habit because you don't even know you're doing it because you're in your workspace. But if you look at like that's a perfect metaphor for it because if you look at it through a lens from a child, the world is at their fingertips because they're not imperfected yet. They still haven't learned to burn their hand. They haven't learned to step on a pokey, right? They haven't learned that it's not okay to go have a slip and slide in the house. But it's like because it's the innocence of it all.
Yeah.
And that's the good part because that's what fear stops you. It's it'll stop you because of what you've been through from your experiences. If you don't have no fear, the high performers put their head down and go right through it and they'll figure it out later. Because
Yeah.
that's the ones like you said it perfectly. If you're a coach where you make women the prize by being vulnerable, that's because you went through all the trial tribulations to figure that story out, which is makes you the authority. Because if you're the authority, you can change these women's behavior. It's like any type of profession, right? Because you have the experience with the training. Can you give me a story? Let's see. How about a story of when you broke the habit when you noticed? This is so to me. What you enable is fascinating to me. Does it fascinate you knowing that you're just exposing all of this?
Yeah, like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that was really cool. I couldn't have orchestrated that. Yeah,
True.
it's
Yeah.
really powerful. So you as a story of say that again?
Of you realizing of you realizing that this hasn't been this hasn't this doesn't have to be all because of me. You realizing so much. I can see it in your face. I can see it in your aura, basically, because you've accepted it. And that's the hardest part. Give me a story when you accepted that this was how it's going to be from now on. No matter what happens, no matter through your arguments, through stuff, how did you accept it? Because that's the hardest part.
Yeah, so I think we had a disagreement and I can't remember what it was about. I can't remember what it was about. It was a long time ago. And he was like, okay, I need a couple of days away from you.
Oh, wow.
This is the very beginning of our relationship. When he came back a couple of days later, he was like, I don't know that I want to be in this type of relationship. And what was happening was we were
Hmm.
learning how to argue, right?
Oh, okay.
Like how to argue. And of course, I still want to be right, but I want to make sure that you hear me. Like you
Right.
need to know where I am. Like that became the most important part. Like something popped up in a video that I saw, or I think it was one of my mentors. I don't remember, but they said, why don't you just own your part when you go into the conversation, you talk about like what you did wrong and tell them everything that they did right. And I was just like, oh. So I went into the conversation like owning, like let me share with you how like I can improve because I know that these are the things that I did wrong. And I don't even want to call it wrong. I don't think it's right or wrong, but like they weren't effective. The way that I showed up wasn't effective. And so I
Okay.
shared all of these things. And I was like, however, what really supported me was when you drew the boundary, when you were like, hey, I need a couple of days. My little girl was like, what the fuck do you mean you need a couple of days? But it was so good because I was like,
You
oh
got
wow.
shocked, actually. You was like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
how dare you?
And then it was like the abandonment. Oh my God, a couple of days. You know what that means?
Oh,
It's forever, right? Like all of that kind of stuff was coming up. But I was so grateful in that situation because it gave me a different perspective. It's not even about arguing, but it was just like, how do you I never talked through a disagreement before. I always packed my shit and left. Like that's what I saw my
that's
parents do. So it's like, oh my God, like, what do you mean we're going to have a conversation? And what do you mean you need a few days to get together before you can come and have a neutral conversation? And that's really what it was him wanting to get in a neutral place energetically and get his thoughts together to be able to
okay.
come and have a conversation with me. Where I'm like, well, no, let's fucking talk about it now. I'm ready. Like, I already have half of my shit packed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I already got one leg out. I'm done. Um, but that never worked. And it was funny. It was like all of the moments
Oh
started popping
shit.
up, and like when he took those 3 days, I had remembered. I'm like, oh my God, the relationship before that. I moved in. I remember moving in with the guy, and I think it was day two. We got into an argument, and I literally packed all of my stuff back in my suitcases. And he's like, we just had a disagreement. You're already planning your departure? And I'm like, yeah. And it didn't hit me
It didn't hit
until
you.
later on that I was like, oh my God, this is how I am with every relationship. Like I'm just ready to go. No, any kind of conflict, like I'm out because I don't want to, it's going to be a blow up. I don't want to do all that. But that,
Right.
and that was how I had seen, my parents argue.
Right. Because that's what you've seen though. Because that's
Yeah.
that's the behavior, that's the habit I was just talking about. You didn't
Yeah.
it's but knowing that you have the tools now is
Yeah.
so cool because it's like me. It's like knowing that I have the tools like me and Andrew, we have disagreements, we have arguments. It's like I had to have a talk with her the other day about this all because, you know, things are pressure. She's putting too much on her shoulders. I don't you it's a habit. Let go of the things. I mean, stop putting your friends' problems on your shoulders, bringing it into our relationship,
Yeah.
right? You know, spend time, you mean, with the quality time because the most important thing you have right now is time and attention. It's not the time and the day, it's that where you give the attention to, right? In your situation, is like, yeah, you might have the 1 foot out because that's what you're so used to, but you keep putting grenades in all the relationships you had before. All right, all
Okay,
you're doing is
good.
like, oh, boom, okay, you throw the grenade, boom, okay, I'm out, run, right? But now you have able where, you know, okay, is it safe to say this? This is one of your, no, you said the other relationship was longer. You had a 6 year relationship,
I did have a 6 year relationship.
but this one
Uh,
seems more real.
it does. And it seems, it's just, it's a whole different
It's
energy.
different. Yeah,
Much like it's healthier interaction. There's a lot of communication.
yeah.
And it's not that we don't disagree because we
Oh,
definitely
you
do.
human.
It's
You
just
have,
different. The way we interact is completely different than any of my past relationships.
you know what you got to ask him, right? This is what I want you to ask him. Ask him, what does he want me to ask you?
I will ask him that.
It'd be like because it's real different. Like when you can have like I can have a conversation with Andrea. Okay, you ask me a question, it'll come out differently because there's no like nothing like anything about it. It's just We're having a conversation. There's no feelings. I don't have to protect. I mean, this is why I was like, Andrew was telling me like, yeah, just tell Carrie I asked you stuff because this way you just let it out. Because I'm so like I'm different. You're different with Abel than you are with say talking to somebody else like a friend,
Yeah.
right? It's just and it's not in. She didn't mean it in a malicious way, but it's
Right.
like because sometimes it does come out different when you're like a neutral. It just happens that
Yeah.
way, right? And it's really good because for the past 2 weeks, like, oh, she been busy, she been traveling. It's like, man, I miss my friend talking shit basically about relationships and then the situation. But no, that's keeping it real because let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. If people want to find out on what you're doing, in fact, how do they get in touch with you right now? Besides, if they
Oh,
want a coaching from your services,
on Instagram at Carrie Pullaro, I actually have a link in there that will take you to the
mhm,
different services that I offer.
nice. What are some of
I have group programs. I also have one-on-one option as well. I offer a membership. I have every price point that anyone could possibly want. If they want to come in
perfect?
and just do my classes, they could totally just do the
Yeah.
pre-recorded classes. But they all have some type of interaction with me, period. I always make sure that I have some
You
kind of
show up for
call with
them.
people. Yeah, yeah, of
Because
course.
I mean, guys, I mean, female, even men. Men sometimes they need to have a female point of view. This is why I have Carrie because it helps a lot. Whether you want confidence in your relationships, in your marriage, and what you got going on, Carrie can tell you from firsthand events where she's been, how she processes, how she corrected it, how she can solve the problems. There's no problem she hasn't been through. Trust me, she's been through it. And this is why I've grabbed Carrie as a collaborator, partner, because I know a lot of people, but a lot of people don't have the experience she's been through to have put in the work. I mean, I can tell when people put in the work because it's like you can't fake that shit at all. You can't fake it one bit. Let me You want to end it for us today? Because this way we can figure something else out and see how we can get her book done.
Oh my God, yeah. I wanted to say something because you are talking about doing the work, and I have so many women that come into space and they're like, I want to do the work, and then they see what the work looks like. And then it's like, oh, they kind of go quiet. And I've learned, like, I'm in such gratitude. I was just telling Abel the other day, I'm like, I'm in such gratitude that my first like my first personal development was a 12-step program because
Okay.
I had to, and the reason that I'm grateful for that is because my life depended on the fact that I got through that work. And when you come in with that kind of energy, like, oh my God, like my life depends on it, like I
Right.
have to do this work. It's a totally different come from than it's like, oh, maybe I'll just show up and I can absorb through osmosis and then,
You've been through that one already.
wear a
But
pretty
you're
dress and some guy's gonna notice me. No, it's not like that at all. Like we dive deep into ourselves. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difference. And so yeah, I'm like grateful for being in that space because I know that I'm still committed to the work and it is from that very beginning piece right there. Is because I always treat it as though my life depends on it because it fucking does.
it really
You know what I
does.
mean?
It's so true because what do you think about giving a small workshop on some of these videos after?
That's a great idea. I hadn't really thought about that. But yeah, I
Like a
can
mini
totally do that.
challenge, a mini workshop. What me and Doc is going to do is we're going to make 3 weeks of making the content leading up. And on the fourth week, we will do like a workshop to see what you really do. This way you can draw in more people, see what kind of services you offer. Because this way, at least we're not just talking the talk. We're going to walk the walk together, right?
Yeah.
As a
Oh my God, that's
workshop.
cool.
And then we can stream that thing. And then we have all your back end stuff ready to rock and roll. Because with this all coming out right now, at least it's able for you to draw attention to yourself to help
Hmm.
other women. Because, like you said, some women's marriages, relationships, lives depends on it. Just like the change for me is like I had no more time, basically. And I'll end with this story. Basically, like when everybody asked me, how come I don't, you know, how come you don't make the money, this and that? Nah, I said, because I'm living my fucking dream, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've been millionaire a few times in my life. It didn't hit like how it is now. And you can argue about screw happiness, screw the greed and stuff like. But it's like you cannot pay for the stuff I have now. You can have
Mm.
sat on a bunk for years, waiting for the chance to do the things I'm doing now, and one day it's gonna be gone because my kid's gonna be older, this and that. And Annan's already independent, so I'm enjoying all the moments that I can now. Then maybe I'll go make some. I'll go make another $1 million or something. But you know what I mean? It's now it's just helping other people like Carrie, people that's in dire straits, people with problems with having confidence, with women stop being transactional. You know what I mean? And do the deep work themselves. You mean that's
Yeah.
what me and Carrie want to do, and Doc. That's why I we named it Boundaries and Brotherhood, but we also I treat Carrie as like she's one of the guys too sometimes because that's she has the viewpoints, and but that's what I love about her, because if you have a wife that needs help, if you have a girlfriend that is ready to do the work, there's nothing that you guys are going through right now that we both haven't been through to give some sort of advice. I mean, and then reach out to Carrie on her Instagram and figure out how she can get back to you. You want to end it, Carrie?
Yeah, well, I don't even know how we can end this one today. We just touched on so many really great topics, but I think that there comes a point where it's like, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you know what I mean? I get to make a change in my life, and if you're ready to make a change, you have to be ready. No one's gonna make you, but if you're ready to make a change, then we are here and we are available.
Beautiful. All right, this is Gordon Watt from
And Carrie
Boundaries and Brotherhood.
Pullaro.
Aloha.